10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is June 19th, and I hope you all had a good weekend, and we're going to get started with some FUD. So, well, FUD, like quote-unquote FUD, it starts with Hal Press, right? So yesterday Hal Press says, the ETH staking yields are making new lows, and the influx of staked ETH since Shanghai has started to slow meaningfully. This isn't great for ETH, but thankfully ETH has other value drivers. For LSD protocols though, this is a worst case scenario and was always inevitable. Once staking participation tops out, they'll all have no growth drivers except market share gains. This will create a nice race to zero in fee capture, and holders will be left with highly overvalued tokens with no ability to grow, particularly bad for Lido's LDO token and RPL. And I'm not sure any of the LSTs at the moment, but it's still high conviction that they'll all trend down versus ETH over the next multiple years. So then he shares these two graphs, and the first one basically shows that the staking has slowed down considerably, and the next one shows that the APYs for STETH have started to come down a lot. So this is what he's saying, that his peaked. Oh look, that's by Valdorf, so it might be getting that from Dr. Worm's dashboard. But anyway, I'm not sure whether he's getting that from. But anyway, as an aside, so the first thing is, the first thesis, let's have a look at it, is like this idea that staking is slowing down. So if we'll have a look at Hani Abu's wonderful website, Validator Q, it was last updated 15 minutes ago. And if you have a look at like the last, the Validator Q right now, from on May 22nd, like a month ago, it was at 65,000, and then it kind of peaked here and June 4th around 93,900. I think it actually went a little bit higher than that, and then over here, on June 9th we saw 96,000. So that's the peak, right? So it slowed significantly. So in the period, the last 10 days, the Q's gone down to 90,000. So like what? The Q hasn't decreased significantly, first of all, right? The number of active validators is just like up and to the right, like considerably so. And it's just hilarious that is underpinning the whole thesis. Okay, then he moves on and he says, I know people are going to want to defend RPL, and I'm all for the value RPL adds to the ecosystem by decentralizing ETH, but the reality is once staking participation tops and shares stabilize, there is literally no need for anyone to buy RPL again. Again, I'm not sure, I'm just sharing honest thoughts. So this idea of honesty, of course, he singles out RPL in his response to himself, because the Rocket Pool community is quite passionate. They're going to ask him pointed questions. The first question comes from Myso, right? So Myso says, sure, but RPL market share is 3% of 16% of ETH staked. There's a whole lot of upside if Rocket Pool can get to 10% or 40% staked. I agree there's no marginal buyer at full saturation other than the usual suspects, speculation, future use cases, etc, etc. Honestly, Hal kind of figured you'd be into RPL since it has natural demand driver and structural flows built into the utility token. Respect to your point of view though. And then he comes and he says something kind of weird. He says, I don't disagree, it has attractive flow dynamics at times. In my opinion, we've just already passed the point where it's supportive and have entered the other side of the mountain where people see the inevitable point where the flow ends. I wouldn't be short, I think they're better shorts, but I definitely rather own ETH. So Hal kind of presents this point, and he gets that's more from that's Myso. We just read Myso's replies. So then Dondo kind of crunches the numbers here in the Discord, and he says, if I'm doing my math right, the floor amount of RPL needed for the current set of mini pools is around 2 million RPL. Nodes have 8.5 million RPL staked, or roughly 4 times the minimum. So 3% to 16% to 10% to 40% would be an 8x on ETH TVL, which would 8 times the minimum RPL TVL. Still looks good to me with a bull symbol. Okay, then we go back to Twitter, and then Tom here gets involved as well with the story, replying to Hal. He says, as someone who has a long and very public thesis on RPL, agree. It's just not integrating into DeFi. Higher fees are an issue. The tax play is mitigated by WST ETH. Still think LSDs are going to be the liquidity of the ecosystem going forward, though. So I think like a lot of these guys are kind of like presenting contradictory statements. Like, how can something be played out if it's going to be the liquidity of the ecosystem, and how can you say that RPL isn't integrated into DeFi? So then Jasper here makes a really good comment, right? He says, it's just not integrated into DeFi. Are you talking about rETH? Because that's far from the truth. It's expanding everywhere. If you're talking about RPL, well, that's not meant for DeFi. And then Tom says, rETH is 6% of the market and basically hasn't moved. Actually, let me just press show more here. He says, rETH is 6% of the market and basically hasn't moved. In my opinion, need to lower the fees lower than Lido now that deposit pool has been consistently close to empty for 2 months. Or maybe rETH not being one-to-one with ETH is the fundamental issue. Better to focus than bury our heads in the sand, though. So the Rocket Pool intern comes in and says, close to empty. That means we're processing record-breaking liquid staking deposits. So like, you know, the chart that we've seen on Rocket Fuel so many times, right? Like just since the Atlas upgrade is just gone vertical basically. And then you know, there's a screenshot of that graph of that vertical rETH minting, and then Tom replies by showing, you know, a screenshot of the deposit pool being only having 22 ETH in there, and a space for 17,977, but it also captures the mini pools, the 109 mini pools waiting. So then Evan has a nice reply here. Says, I'm always willing to hop on a quick call with you and talk about some of the metrics on RocketScan and what they mean if you'd like. Send you a DM. And then people are kind of confused. Dr. Doofer says, you know, are you thoroughly confused on how the deposit pool works? Why would we want the deposit pool constantly full? There's an inflow of node operators using the pool, and rETH minters filling it. It's working as expected. The amount is full is an arbitrary metric. And then Jasper, I think, had some more replies here. Yeah, anyway, yeah, there was like a whole lot of discussion going back and forth, and it seems like some people got through to Tom, like Evan especially jumped on a call with him and like kind of talked to him about how to understand the RocketScan website and what it means that, you know, the deposit pool is empty and there's a queue and the queue's like processing quite quickly now, and how that works basically. So there was a tweet by Jasper. I'm missing it. I'm not sure what it is. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, so I said there've been so many bad takes about RPL and Rocket Pool share tonight. Let me see. Yeah. So here Jasper said that Libra and Raft are literally the only stETH apps and represent like 60% of the represented TVL, bad data. So this is in reply, you know, Tom shared this data where he's showing just a couple of apps, and like basically his understanding of what the market share looks like is completely wrong basically. Thankfully Tom was able to get back to Jasper here and talk about Jasper pointed towards some better data, but yeah, like there was definitely some shortcomings in Tom's understanding here. But yeah, this is just kind of goes to show that, you know, when one or two people kind of like latch onto some kind of like half-baked narrative or half-baked story and they try to like put it out to the world, like thankfully the Rocket Pool community is really well informed, really positive, and engages in good faith and tries to like educate and teach instead of like, you know, tear down. Well, it's not perfect, of course it's not perfect like any group of people, but I feel like, you know, we really try to approach people and help them see the gaps in their thinking, and that was definitely a really interesting thing that happened last night, and it's kind of had people talking about it all day, and it's kind of becoming a bit of a meme in the Rocket Pool community as well. But I think people like have these bad takes, and Jasper in trading yesterday was saying about how the price of RPL token is pretty much back to where it was when Hal Press sold the RPL token, and he basically missed the whole of the pump up to $65, the all-time high on USD pair. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to some really, really positive news here. So Jack Melnick here says, excited to say that the proposal to bring rETH and Rocket Pool to Polygon zkEVM is officially live on the forums. Check it out and give your feedback and your thoughts. So what is this here? Jack is a person who works with the Polygon zkEVM, which of course is an Ethereum layer 2, and they're new and they want to, they're asking the IMC for coincentives. So Jack here says, help expand rETH to Polygon zkEVM with RPL coincentives. And then there's an idea like, Polygon Labs is forever committed to scaling Ethereum and huge advocates of further decentralization of ETH staking. As a result, we would like to encourage increased adoption and use cases of rETH on Polygon zkEVM. ETH and its liquid staking tokens play a very important role in DeFi, and below is phase 1 of a proposal to integrate rETH on zkEVM. A diagrammatic step-by-step breakdown of phase 1 is provided below. And then here's a diagram like rETH rate provider for balancer, setting up liquidity pools and incentivization, get decentralized calculated feed, and then get rETH on lending markets. So then, that goes into more details, which you can definitely follow along with. But this is like a really cool step in the right direction where, other protocols and other platforms and infrastructures want to come to us and like work with us on getting deeper rETH liquidity on those layer 2s. And I think that's amazing. We just had that with zkSync Era as well, being the first LST to get integrated on zkSync Era, and now there's work happening with the Polygon zkEVM people as well, which is awesome, like really, really cool to see. And then there's articles here as well. Can Rocket Pool provide Polygon a boost in the DeFi sector? Polygon's integration of Rocket Pool's rETH brings growth prospects, but the performance of DEXs and Matic token sentiment will shape its DeFi journey. So, it's amazing that, people are kind of seeing this not as a, Polygon, which is like a bigger platform, bigger protocol, is kind of helping rETH. No, here they're really saying that, this is a symbiotic thing, and in fact rETH can even help Polygon zkEVM because it'll drive liquidity there and activity there, which is much needed. So yeah, this is really, really great. Like, that people are starting to see the power of Rocket Pool as a protocol, as rETH as a token of the Rocket Pool community, that we can be kind of like kingmakers, right? In the sense with these protocols, in the way that we can take our liquidity there with our incentives and really drive our users to those protocols as well. So that's really cool. Give this a read if you're interested in that. Links are in the description. Okay, next we had this update from Val about the oDAO draft charter and more. He says there's been a lot of work going on this this whole thread about the kind of stuff that's going into the draft charter here. Val's been like laying out ideas, thoughts that have been like from discussions that are taking place elsewhere. He says definitely read all this information. Like there's a whole lot going on over here, and people are like kind of supportive of it, right? So 12 days ago, Val said, okay, I think I have a first full functional draft of all 3 charters in RPIP 10. I changed the direct dev expense to a little to encourage the dev team to drop off seats from my plan above. I need 1 or 2 reviews to at least read through everything and look for inconsistencies, typos, sentences where I got distracted halfway through, etc. And then it says that there's 3 different views. One is the diff. You can good to get situated and find the files you should look at, but doesn't actually show formatting. And then this is the actual formatted stuff. Review it here, and then there's another link as well. It says please review and comment. In the meantime, I'll reach out to oDAO and to team get changes about the changes that affect them to get a temperature check from their end. So have a quick look at this link that Jasper posted, and here is the GitHub, and you can poke around there and file the files that you want and have a read of them. Going back here then, so Jasper has provided a temperature check, right? So he says sentiment poll time, let's see where we are, let's see how we want to move forward. and see how we want to go to a vote. So if we show results, right now people says, they support moving to a vote, and they think that this set of documents is good enough, and we shouldn't let perfect be the enemy of good. And then 18% of people said that they support moving to a vote. I think this set of documents is great. And then 7% of people are opposed moving to a vote other. So we have 93% of people that are happy for this current set of documents to go to vote, and 7% of people oppose it going to vote, which is like 2 people who voted here. So it's definitely looking like these set of documents are going to go to a vote. I'm not sure of a timeline of exactly when that will happen, but if you want to have a look at the 3 documents, you can see the links here as well. Like there's the PDAO charter, the oDAO charter, the inflation RPIP, and then like Val says, the small change in RPIP 10, which is easier to describe than find the specific lines, from 50% IMC, 30% GMC, 20% reserve to 27, 16, and 57. This keeps things steady for IMC and GMC given the inflation change, and paying for 3 months of dev team as well. So that information is there. Definitely go and have a look at that if you are behind on all the oDAO discussions that are taking place. And go and vote in this sentiment poll as well, because the more people that share their sentiment, the better it is. Okay, next we have some nice. Well, there's a lot of mentions of Invis today, which is really cool. But Invis made this chart that shows you where what kind of drag the queue is having. And the fact that 5,000 of Rocket Pool's validators or thereabouts are in the queue for the beacon chain, like what drag is that having on our APR? And the APR has been like really low. It's around 3 to 4%, which is really low right now. And then Invis provided this cleaned up version of it. He says here we can get a current use the bot current rETH APR, and current APR last 7 days average is 3.11%. But if you have a look over here, the effectiveness line shows you how much of the stake, how much of the validators are actually effective. And you can see over here, like around June 3rd or 4th, a good 30% of Rocket Pool's validators were not effective. And since then, it's kind of bounced up a little bit to up to just above 75%, around 75%. And you can see that, as that big chunk of people are going to start moving through the beacon chain queue in the next few weeks, all those people should be through the queue. By then the APR should start to tick back upwards, and we can see that the if it wasn't for what the drag is right now, so the current APR is the green line, and that is at around 3.1%, and the red line is what the APR would be if there was no beacon chain queue. Basically, we'd be above 4%, so it's a good 33% increase in rewards, and that 1% difference more makes a huge difference in what kind of DeFi tools you can use and stuff. So I really like this bot that Invis made, because it really helps you visualize just where the issues are now for Rocket Pool in terms of why the APR is so low. It's just sadly we're a victim of our own success, in a sense. We have so many validators stuck in the beacon chain queue that it's pulling down the whole of the protocol by 25% from where it should be. We should be basically 33% higher than where we are. So thank you for that. Okay, so Evan, mentioning Evan again today as well, getting 2 shout outs today. Evan put together this chart a few months ago, talking about how so in October he put together a chart saying graphing a rolling 30-day median of the RPL ETH ratio divided by increasing our rETH supply over time. And he says we get this. So there's a table here basically that, actually let's just go and read the thread. He says you get this. This new metric is called the incremental demand for RPL for each new rETH that gets minted, all denominated in ETH. Let's call this the new metric fundamental demand for RPL. So let's come with the RPL price target. So based on that information, he came out with the price target of 0.123496 on the ratio RPL to ETH. And he says that he just goes on to explain what that is. So this was from October. I think I actually mentioned it on Rocket Fuel at the time. Anyway, Evan today went back and kind of like crunched those numbers again. So he says, okay, I struggled to update this manually, so decided it would be much better as a Dune analytics dashboard. I modified some of Dr. Worm's code to make a graph of the incremental demand for RPL per 1 million rETH minted. Check it out. So basically what this is showing that is, as time has gone on and there's a lot more rETH that is being minted, the demand in relation to RPL's demand in relation to that minting of rETH has come down. But this is not to say that, you know, the price targets are different now or that it's not as bullish. It just means that the rETH is going through a huge phase of growth, and you can see these moments, you know, where like around the merge, when, you know, the rETH was going through such a big period of growth there as well, and then before that around March of 2022 when we started the curve incentives, that was a period of rETH growth as well. So this is a nice way to keep an eye on just where we kind of stand. You know, when Evan released the original chart, like his projection at the time was around 0.123. I think based on numbers right now, it's a little bit lower than that, but it's still showing that like things are going to be okay. So yeah, thanks Evan for providing that information. Okay, so talking about that, let's have a look at some stats now, because the last couple of days there's been some nice events. So yesterday we had Matos.eth put 1,000 ETH into the deposit pool and got a nice chunk of rETH back. And then today we had another whale who splashed in the deposit pool with 2,440 ETH deposited into the deposit pool, which of course is very lovely to see as well. So, you know, having a look at the deposit pool now, we can see that, you know, there've been a few nice size, you know, 100 plus ETH deposits coming through. If we have a look at the full page, you can see that, you know, after last week kind of slowed down a little bit. There have been moments where, you know, we've been slow since. It's not quite as amazingly consistent as May was, but the last couple of days, you know, like 2,900, 2,300, 700, 1,700, 1,900, 2,700. So the numbers have started to like kind of hit a nice level. It's definitely not as high as, you know, things were in May. That was just incredible, but we're still going, and that's nice. You know, like 10,000 ETH a week might sound like it's not great, right? But if you look back historically, 10,000 ETH in 1 week would pretty much be like one of the top 5 weeks ever. That's how like strong it was. Like around the merge time, we had a week with 14,000 ETH. In March, you know, with the curve incentives, we had 13,000 ETH there as well. So in that whole period, basically up to April, that would have been the third best week ever, like last week. So it just kind of puts things into context a little bit, because, you know, after seeing those weeks of like 40,000 ETH depositing into the pool, you can, I know I at moments, and others can get disheartened, right, at not seeing the same amount of ETH still coming in. But what's worth it to look at is just like taking a small step back and just kind of contextualizing a little bit, and you'll see that Rocket Pool is still going, you know, strength to strength, and the growth has been phenomenal. And this is actually like, for those of you, you know, for those people who don't really like spend as much time looking at the RocketScan website as people like myself, like I do, like this is actually an incredibly healthy position that we're in right now. Like, you know, we've got a queue of 60 mini pools. The deposit pool is full, which means that we can accept like nearly 20,000 ETH in a single deposit to clear the mini pool queue and fill up the deposit pool. However, like that is not that necessary, right? Like, in fact, having a lot of ETH sitting in the deposit pool can actually hurt the Rocket Pool APR as well, because it acts as a drag. It's not as significant as a drag now because, you know, there's so much rETH out there, but it does act like a drag. And this is kind of like a beautiful, like, symbiotic moment right now, where there's mini pools getting created every day, there's ETH getting deposited every day, and it's really, really harmonious. I just wish it was a bit more in terms of the numbers, but hey, like, that's just me being greedy, right? But this is like a really good balance right now, and it could like swing either way, right? Like, you know, one big giant deposit of like 18,900 or whatever, 19,800, sorry, or whatever, can bring a premium back. And then, like, you know, if Thomas spins up his mini pools, then that'll add another 1,000 plus mini pools to the queue again. So that kind of stuff, you know, can happen. It can swing it one way or the other. But in general, like, this is really, really healthy for Rocket Pool right now, and that's really awesome. Okay, next we're getting a nice little story from support that came through today, or yesterday, sorry, overnight. It was here. Object was pinging Nutstaker, saying that your mini pools are going to dissolve. Please respond to this. And Nutstaker was like, what's going on? Like, as far as I know, everything should be okay. It turned out everything wasn't okay. So Patches started replying to the person saying, did you get this sorted? It's kind of urgent. Don't reply to any DMs. They're going to be scams. So Nutstaker said, I didn't get this sorted. This is a DAppNode mini pool, and on DAppNode, everything looks normal. So, you know, they went back and forth, and it turned out there was an issue with the DAppNode terminal, even though Nutstaker, even though, you know, they thought they'd done everything from their side, there was some issues with how the DAppNode system was like understanding things. I think it came down to an execution client change that Nutstaker did, that kind of like threw things off. But Patches is still kind of like trying to delve into it and try to figure things out, what's going on. But eventually what happened is, you know, they asked Nutstaker to reinstall the Rocket Pool instance of DAppNode, and everything else was okay. And then it was able to get their state going. So, you know, over here, like a little while later, yesterday, I did have to change execution client recently, get the Prism stopped working, and I couldn't get it going again. So I set back up with Bisu and Lighthouse. Maybe the change is what caused the issue. And Patches says there was another DAppNode user before who reported switching execution clients and getting dissolved as well. And Nutstaker says, you know, hopefully this effort avoided that. And he says, thanks for the assistance. And it's all good now, and everything's going. So it's really great that, you know, Patches was able to help. It just shows how amazing the Rocket Pool support community is. But Object started it going, and then Patches, of course, you know, gets in there as well. So really amazing stuff for all of them. So thank you. And I'm sure Nutstaker appreciates it also, because if it got dissolved, it would have been a really difficult situation. Okay, so next we have this update from Myso Finance. They're saying, hello Rocket friends, we released our version 2 testnet today. Included is one-click looping, also RPL as a loan currency like lots asked for, and also version 2 will have open lender access, so no more quotes can be supplied cheaply and easily by lenders, which should translate to many more options, more competitive rates, though up to the market at the end of the day, of course, and much better borrower experience. Many other improvements include optional Oracle integration for lenders, while allowing gasless off-chain quotes across all pairs, tenors, upfront premiums, LTVs, and APRs all at once, etc. Initially, lender access is programmatic through our API while we finish building out lender side user interface. But let me or Etienne know if you'd like to try out lender side on testnet, and we'll be happy to walk you through. We're making a lender API walkthrough and guide soon. Looking forward to feedback, helping to provide more and better lending options with the Rocket community. And then there's a guide that is linked there, the Medium article that you can have a look at. And he's saying a step-by-step guide for borrowing on Myso version 2 and unlocking the power of zero liquidation loans. So if you are interested in running that on testnet, then definitely go and have a look at this guide. Like I said, you know, it gives you a step-by-step way of how you could do it in Sepolia, and it's all there. So it's really cool stuff that, you know, Myso are working on, and they've always been really good at integrating rETH and RPL, and I'm really excited to see this product get to mainnet. So congrats. Okay, speaking of you know, people wanting to integrate Rocket Pool products, here we have a proposal to add Rocket Pool's rETH collateral to the Raft forum. I'm grateful for the community's thoughts on this. So there's a protocol called Raft, which, you know, I wasn't really aware of until recently, and I'm sure others won't as well. Raft is a token that works. Sorry, it's a protocol that works with liquid staking tokens, and it's part of like this LS DeFi kind of movement that's going on, and I think it's the second biggest LS DeFi protocol out there, according to Jasper. So they have this forum post now that says, dear Raft community members, we write to propose a new form of collateral, rETH, a liquid staking derivative from Rocket Pool, to be added alongside our existing collateral option, stETH from Lido. So that's the only token they have so far. And then they just kind of go into like how that's going to work and where it's going to be capped and how it's going to look in the beginning, and how it's going to work out. So that's really cool that, they want to add rETH. The more places, the merrier. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, next we had this comment from Rohit, which is like something that I like featuring whenever I gets brought to my attention. Rohit here says, "Hey y'all, DeFi founder of a VC funded startup looking to talk to someone from their team at Rocket Pool. We're building in a space and would like to collaborate." So these are people who like pop into general mostly, and they're asked to speak to someone from the team, and there's almost always Mav that they end up speaking to. But it's really cool that they like people are still coming by and they want to collaborate with Rocket Pool. I really like to see that. Okay, next is a nice little story here from Cloud, who says, "Hi Joe and Patches, you might remember me. I had an early validator get slashed back in 2021 or so, and I've had 15.5 ETH locked up there since. Am I right in thinking I can recover that now due to Atlas? Or the right way to do that would be to follow the mini-pool shutdown protocol from the documents?" Patches says, "Yes, it's the same process as voluntary exit, just less voluntary. So you skip exiting validator and move on to closing out the mini-pool. If it's your only mini-pool node, you can also withdraw the RPL and leave it staked and create new mini pools." So Cloud was saying that they're eager to get restaked. There's 2 8 ETH pools, so we're going to start on that process now. So then there was a little bit of an issue with there being like a griefing vector, but like that was really minor. And then here Cloud says, "Fix this with wallet recover, 3 new mini pools incoming." So it's a shame that Cloud got slashed all that time ago, but now they're turning their stake into 3 new mini pools, which of course is really lovely that they haven't grown totally disheartened with Rocket Pool. Okay, so the next thing is something kind of funny for my Rocket Fuel contributors. I was talking to Invis a couple of days ago about the chat summarization bot and how we should add the link to like the trading where people were having that discussion, because it means that you can just have a look at the different comments that people are making, and you can figure out what's going on, the key piece of information that chat GPT 3.5 says. And at the time he said that it probably wouldn't be able to work, but he got it working today. And yeah so what happened was that like I had people reaching out to me saying that this is going to put them out of a job. So basically, like, you could just go through here, see all the key pieces of information, like, here, mention of a Twitter thread about RPL. Let's have a look. What is that? And then you click on it, and there's Twitter thread here. This saying MF was over here calling me a rat. An old rat. Yeah. So there's still some issues with the bot. So then Invis was like, yeah, don't worry, guys. Like, so like another instance of the bot later kind of like didn't render the links properly the way it was supposed to. But hey, like Invis's bots are amazing. They're like the backbone of the Discord here, and he's got some really great ones. And I'm sure once this one's done, it's going to be a really great tool as well. That'll be available to people in the Rocket Fuel community as well as Rocket Pool. Okay, finally, I'm going to finish up with this news that kind of got a lot of hype yesterday and today about Ethereum developers discussing increasing staking limit of validators by 64x. So there was a lot of FUD that kind of went around this story. It's really funny because Anthony Sassano mentioned how we talked about this on the Daily Gwei like 2 weeks ago. I talked about this on Rocket Fuel about 2 weeks ago as well. And it's this idea that, you know, right now the minimum and maximum stake that you have on your validator is 32 ETH. However, there's too many validators, and one way to drastically reduce the number of validators would be to let people stake with amounts more than 32 ETH as their maximum amount. So the minimum amount that you would need to run a validator would still be 32 ETH. However, the maximum amount would then be a lot higher, up to 2048, I think. And the impact that would have would be it would let users compound their stake in a way that's not possible right now for smaller users, because reaching like the next target of 32 ETH, you know, you're missing out on a lot of compounding in that period. That will happen, and it's not the case for like large operators, right? They can make 32 ETH in a few days, so they can like restake that amount constantly. The time difference is a lot smoother for them. There was a lot of FUD about this. There was a lot of misunderstandings about what was actually happening. Like this Cointelegraph article specifically got a lot of like negative press because they kind of presented it as like the minimum was changing to 2048, and then I think there might have been like some rewriting of this article, but it got a lot of like, look, see a lot of thumbs down here, as you can see just right over here, and people being like and kind of like laughing at them. So there was like Cointelegraph have a dodgy reputation as it is, but I'll leave it at that. Anyway, this is a story that I think might impact the staking landscape quite a lot in the months, potentially years to come. It's in the research phase right now, so I'm sure that it's not going to be included, like, you know, when in the next hard fork. Definitely not. Maybe the one after that, potentially. Let's see. We'll keep an eye on it. And of course, as always, I will let you all know what's going on with that as I learn more about it. So I hope you all had a lovely weekend, and I hope you all have a great week ahead. This is the week of the 200th episode. It's likely to go out on Thursday. I'm super excited about it, and I'll be formalizing the raffle stuff in the next couple of days, so we'll all know how many prizes there are and what you all can expect. So thank you for watching, listening, being part of the Rocket Fuel community, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.